and send out the links. Because I have to self-promote. Yeah, yeah. But that doesn't give me the damn link for this part. Go to Facebook. I had to blink twice. That's not good. Okay. And did that get onto Instagram? Apparently not. Let's have it share. And then we'll make sure it got onto threads. Posted docs, so posting on threads on Facebook. Okay, so we don't have to do that for those two. But Meta still needs its extra one. Especially since Meta seems to be where people are finding you a lot lately. Good. Cool. That's all done. Last up Discord. Because of this and so on. Yay! And then back to Twitch to see who's around. Hello, my viewers. We will get started on Higarashi now. Watanagashi. Let's see. Chapter 8. Nope, into chapter 10. Oh, that's right. I was at Tips last night, and so we will probably be right here. Hey, Padme. Nice to see you. You knew Tips. Because I didn't want to do that, then finish the stream last night. The Sonozaki family. The one to drastically expand its influence after the war was the Sonozaki family. The leader at the time was Oryu Sonozaki, who still had that seat today. Oryu Sonozaki has grown old, and today you can only catch glimpses of what she was at the time. For what I've been told, however, she was a leader extolled as the best in history. Having become so old, aside from going out a few times a week for lessons, she spends most of her time at home in solitude, and seems to leave most of the ceremonial affairs to her heir Mion. There are different views on why the successor was not her daughter, but her granddaughter Mion, but it's rumored that it had to do with the disownment of her daughter and son-in-law. Oh my. That uninhibited granddaughter Mion Sonozaki still shows no signs of the dignity required of the next leader. However, she does have the Sonozaki blood in her veins and is permitted the name of Demon. She doubtlessly requires caution and probably hiding her fangs and claws as skillfully as the leaders of the past did. Wow. So that explains that. I was always wondering about that. The anime didn't really explain that very well, from what I remember. Yes, the postal worker hasn't seen anything either. The Sumsaki main house has their seal hanging from their mailbox, so anyone can stamp their mail or parcels with it and drop it in. There's rather careless of them. So when was she last seen? She was last seen at the Watanagashi opening ceremony greetings. She apparently returned home right after that. Well, she is pretty old. From what I've heard, she goes out a few times a week to take lessons, right? Have you found anything out about that? Every Monday, she goes to the assembly hall to practice the Taisha Goto, but she didn't go this week. Any calls to say she wasn't going to be there? Has anyone confirmed it? No, nobody. She apparently takes days off once in a while, though, so no one thought it was that strange. Tomorrow, why don't we pretend we're going to the town hall and call around 10 o'clock? Please figure out whether she's at home. 10 o'clock, got it. Ever since it started, it seems that more and more like the ancient Hinazawa traditions had something to do with all this. He's been keeping a careful eye on the three families. At this point, the leader of the Kumayoshi family and the leader of the Furude family had disappeared. Yep, Rika and Sadako are gone, as is the mayor, apparently. There's only one leader left. Oryu Sonozaki, the leader of the Sonozaki family. She was apparently a pretty old woman. Her dignity hadn't waned, but she still only appeared before people rarely, so it was difficult to confirm whether she was at any given time. She, the last leader, hadn't been seen since the day of the Watanagashi. Was she still alive and well within the Sonozaki main house? Or had she... According to Mion Sonozaki, she had fallen ill and was sleeping it off. I wonder if she's really asleep. I'd like to take a look at her face and her pulse. You can say that again. Two of them breathed out a big puff of cigarette smoke. Oishi-san, about the search warrants for the Sonozaki main house and the Furude shrine. Do you think we'll get them? Oishi didn't respond. He exhaled another cloud of tobacco smoke, his surroundings now as foggy as his mind. Huh. Well, that's interesting. From Scrapbook 10, otherwise known as Scrapbook X, the Hidden Demon. The inhabitants of Hinazawa believe that the blood of demons flows in their veins, in their blood. As such, the character for demon is treated as very sacred. For example, the character demon in names is apparently a right reserved only for the leaders of the Kumayoshi and Sonozaki families. Case in point, we can see the current Sonozaki family named Oryu, which is written with the character demon. This, and only this, is the proof that she is a legitimate leader of the Sonozaki family. Aw, Iron Mouse love. That's nice. I enjoy Iron Mouse's streams. In the same way, Mion Sonozaki, its successor, contains demon in her name with me written as demon. It also goes for Oryu's daughter and Mion's mother Akane, who did not succeed her. It's known that before the disowning, Akane's name was actually written as this, though it changed afterwards to this, still read as Akane. Incidentally, it's thought that the first character, the mayor Kichiru's name, originally meant demon, which could also be read as Kai. It should be said that the names using the characters aren't limited only to the successors of the Sonozaki family. You can even find in the last names of the three families. For example, the characters for Kamiyoshi are likely a split up version of this symbol. If you write it in the reverse and top to bottom as these, it clearly resembles the character demon. As for Furude family, who has been in the Shinto priesthood for generations, the word for fortune teller can be written without interval characters as this. Think of it with the addition of a demon's horn, the tick on the top of the character then becomes that is used in their name now. In the case of the Sonozaki family, where the Sonozaki is written, you can't find any reference to the character, perhaps because it's already ingrained in their first names. This is some interesting stuff about how the Japanese naming system works with the kanji stuff. So those people that have zero knowledge on how the Japanese kanji system works are probably lost. They were clan responsible for running the Watanagashi family, so I think that instead they were included the contents of that ceremony into the last name. The Zaki in Sonozaki is a conjugation of the word for slice, and Sono, written as this, probably contains the hidden meaning of human body. As such, it's a complicated mess, organs enclosed by four sides. I think, in other words, that Sonozaki comes from those who slice open the gut. Yeah! Suddenly, that last name seems a lot more creepier than 10 minutes ago, huh? Request denied? What request? I'm back! How did it go? Did you find any clues? The officers shook their heads in disappointment. Exhaustion was plainly shown on everyone's faces. It was only natural. None of them had gotten a wink of sleep since the day of Watanagashi. Chief, let the youngest of us take a nap, then switch them out. We got a long stretch ahead of us after all. Let's not push ourselves too hard, rest up so we can take it easy as we go. I've been telling them to sleep in shifts. Nobody's actually seems willing to go to sleep, though. Could you could you tell them yourself, Oishi-san? Yes, hello, Lisa. I'm doing fine. Honestly, one of the things I like about this horror visual novel, one of the best things, is that the cops aren't shown as incompetent dillweeds or actually, a problem for the protagonists that are trying to just survive or live peacefully, which is unusual in a lot of horror stories, in my opinion. Unless the horror story, the protagonist themselves is a cop, in which case, who knows? Yeah, a little bit, Lisa. I have it set to I think 20 seconds on the my reaction versus where you see me in the actual video. You don't need to force yourself, Komiyami-kun. Okay. Please let everyone sleep in shifts, starting with the youngest. Komiyama-san, please do that. After the chief told him as well, Komiyama-san left his seat. So, Chief, still no good on our request. It's just a rumor among the villagers in the first place, you know. It's going to be difficult with more concrete evidence, even when that evidence might be tucked away in there. We need evidence that evidence is tucked away in there. Chief, don't start speaking riddles to me now, please. We have witnesses that say 4 people, including the 2 who died, went to the forbidden storehouse without permission. This is all reliable information. You might call it information, but they're really only rumors. They're not concrete evidence. I don't know. I would think that, witnesses that saw them would be considered concrete evidence at this point. But that's just me. Well, it is true we don't have any pictures of the four of them sneaking in with a cloth tied around their heads. Oh, that's why. Okay. Anyway, those four saw something inside the storehouse. Something important enough that they could be erased. Important enough that they'd be erased? What would that be exactly? That's what I'm asking for a warrant to go look for it in the first place. Anything pointing out the Sonozaki family's connection to violent organizations would be a major contender. Like a pile of Turkrevs or a secret poppy production facility. The secret Sonozaki family fortune would also be difficult to discard. Look at Oishi-san, I know how you feel. However, that storehouse is a sacred building belonging to the Furude shrine, and we need to have a proper consideration for the locals when dealing with it. Ah, yes, the good old. It's a religious historical site. We can't have people inside to violate it, breaking the preservation of our history bullshit. Yeah, that's largely why the cops haven't been able to check that storehouse at all and throughout the story. I heard that there was an hour-long call made from Congressman Sonozaki to the big man. Chief, could you have nailed you? Could he have nailed you back down? Ah, yes, politics. Those are fun, especially real-world current politics. Anyway, as long as we don't have the suitable evidence, we won't be able to get a search warrant for the storehouse. That goes for the Sonozaki family house too, especially considering that the jurisdiction for both Section 4 and the Prefectural Police's Crime Prevention Division. We need careful preparation first. If you say you need preparations, why don't you just let me talk with them directly? Shige-chan is the head of Section 4, right? For crime prevention? That's, Yamame-san, correct? They seem to be quicker to talk if I sat them down with a mahjong table. Chief, you have a visitor. Yikes. Pushing the employee who guided him right out of the way was an old man who looked like a Yakuza member, given his crested kimono and hakama. Did he not get enough of this over the phone? I am Congressman Sonozaki. I demand to know who's responsible for this. This instant. Hello? I'm Division Chief Takasuchi. I don't need your name. I could have you demoted on a whim. You wouldn't even be enough. Bring out the one called Oishi or whatever. He deserves punishment for requesting a search warrant on the sacred Furude shrine. I sincerely apologize. Oishi-san is currently out on investigation. He's been difficult to contact. I'll take his place and hear you out. So, so please have a seat. The chief's eyes were telling me to get out of here. Perhaps I'll greatly accept this favor. Maybe I'll go lay down in the nap room. Listen here, the Furude Shrine spent 2,600 years under the imperial calendar and 2,500 more beyond that. It is sacred, a sacred sanctuary that will never be defiled. 800,000 gods, Horishiro-sama, and spirits of our ancestors are enshrined there. The holy shrine protects Hinamizawa from when the sun comes up to when it sets, and when the moon rises to when it falls. Who is the idiot who wanted to set foot in there? Besides the right to religion as the most revered right of the people of this country in the Constitution, you dared be so bold as to sully it, using your own investigation negligence as pretext. I will not allow it. Are you listening, you lying scum? I'm angry now, but you're getting off the hook too easily. Ah, and that is why the cops can't do jack right now. Oh boy. Alright, continue in the main story. Because of the five main characters, Mion Sonozaki is very suspicious, though when she's in scenes she isn't as much. Keiichi is kinda just figuring shit out. Rika and Sadako are now missing. Huh. I saw a ceiling I was familiar with. Though I was groggy from sleep, I did not notice I was up in my futon like I was in every morning. Look at my clock, and despite having turned in so late last night, I had awoken at precisely the same moment I always have. I'm so slow on sleep, but I guess you really can get up at the same time every day. The secrets of the human body never cease to amaze me. If I went to sleep like this, I would definitely not be waking up again. I spurred myself on, slipped out of my futon. Mom asked me about last night at breakfast. Apparently, we two had called a call asking if we knew where Rika-chan and Sadako were, and Mom vaguely understood that something serious was happening. So when you were out last night with all your friends looking for them, until about 3, I think. Yeah. Did you find them? Rika-chan and Sadako-chan, I mean. Crunch. I wearily bit into my toast. It really didn't have any taste. Oh, look, the door. Just then we heard the chime go ding dong. I looked up the clock and saw that it was 5 minutes past my regular meeting time with Rena. It was her at the door. Good morning. Did you get any sleep, did you? Did you? I think I slept for a few hours. You could probably count them on a chicken's toes, though. Rena seemed pretty sleep deprived as well. There was something missing from her usual spirit. Are you going to school? Yeah, I think it'd be better that way, she said, smiling, albeit stiffly. Rena was probably worrying her heart out about those two as well. Even so, she wanted to go to school. If you stay home today, I think you'd just be worrying nonstop and sleeping. I don't want to do that, so let's go to school together. Alright, wait just a moment, I'll get ready. I was just a little happy about Rena mustering that much consideration for me. Rena's much nicer in this timeline compared to the first one. We went to the place where we usually meet up with Mion, but she was nowhere to be found. We were a little bit late today, so we thought she'd be waiting for us. I guess Mi-chan couldn't wake up today, huh? Oh, that's right. For her, it wasn't just yesterday. She was up all night looking for the mayor the night before last, too. We waited for a bit. Time passed until it got to the point where it was okay for us to go on alone, and we exchanged glances. What do we do? Wait a little longer? At this point, my brain, which had finally been woken up by the morning air, recalled the ominous words Oishi-san had left me with last night. The leader of the three houses were disappearing one after the other, and next it might be the Somazaki's leader. Could Mion have? No, that couldn't be. Let's go. Let's get her. Let's let her sleep for today. Rena gave me a pat on the head. Mion, she's still here, right? Hmm? Did you say something? Oh, nothing, just talking to myself. Let's get moving. The two of us headed to school by ourselves. On the way, we saw a bunch of our classmates accompanied by their parents. I even looked like some of them were being taken to school by car. Surprisingly, the principal also was standing watch at the school gate. I'd never seen that before. Good morning, good morning. The principal was bowing to our classmates and guardians. The wooden sword leaning next to him was a little ominous. Apara-kun, good morning. Ryuga-kun, good morning. Good morning. Your teacher has something important to say, so you head straight to the classroom. Well, yeah, Rika and Sadako were in that class. No shock there. Rena and I said nothing. The madness that only existed at night had finally crawled into the sunlight. That's what it felt like. Yay, more bells. Good morning, everyone. The hush Conversations that had been spread for a little while all disappeared like an illusion the moment our teacher walked in the door. Silence dominated the classroom. The principal came in with our teacher as well. This was clearly not a normal morning. First, the principal had something important to tell us. Go ahead, Mr. Principal. The principal cleared his throat and approached the dais. I'm sure some of you already know this. The classroom was dead silent. Everyone was staring at Rika-chan and Sadako-chan's empty seats. The principal briefly and simply declared that Rika-chan and Sadako had gone missing. There wasn't a single person in the classroom who didn't already know. There seemed to be many, however, who couldn't accept it as the truth. It had been confirmed to them now by the principal's words. There were sobs throughout the classroom, and I heard a kid crying. No shock, considering how loved Rika and Sadako are by most people in the story. They steadily spread throughout the whole classroom. The big-hearted principal wasn't able to keep his cool either. Okay, everyone pay attention. From today on, your parents or guardian will be taking you to school. For those of you whose parents can't do so, they'll be coming here in groups. I made a handout, so read it carefully and be sure to show it to your parents. Understand? The teacher's voice was a little abrasive. Not even she could conceal the strain she felt from the unprecedented abnormal situation. They should have canceled school today. However, Brenda told me that the school was also like a nursery for the students whose parents both worked, so some of them wouldn't want the school to be canceled. Well then, let's begin the lesson. Class president, she is absent, I see. Then whoever's on day duty, let me hear it. All rise. A feeling of wanting to maintain an everyday atmosphere, even if only in school, precisely because our lives have been messed up, was something I agreed with at this point. As for the teacher, who had always had her lunch in the staff lounge, she ate in the classroom today. I had to laugh at her curry bento, which was just a rumor until now, but there was nobody to laugh with me. Brenda brought her chair and lunch over to my seat. Today it was only the two of us. The fact we didn't need to drag any of the other desks over was sad. I'm sleepy. Yeah, I don't feel like sleeping anymore, though. In fact, I'm jealous of the people that could sleep at a time like this. They got nerves of steel. Or they're more further away from the actual feelings. You're right. I was sleepy this morning, but my drowsiness had dissipated after coming to school and constantly feeling this incredible tension. Well, yeah, Ren is your only friend right now that's actually here. Mion is probably dead stressed and sleeping. Enrique and Sadako are missing, and Shion has gone radio silent. If I were Keiichi, I'd be dead scared right now. Ren's bento box didn't have its usual luster. That was to be expected. Rena was up last night. Long time last night, too. She wouldn't have had time to make her lunch beforehand, since it's not like she would have gotten up early this morning. Grab anything you want. Go ahead, you can admit my bento's better today. Oh, okay, I'll have some. Wow, a Chikwa roll with perilla and cheese. That's interesting. Brandon, yours might have ready-made food in it, but it's pretty good too. I realized the two of us were desperately trying to brighten the afternoon mood, so its usual level as much as we could. I looked around the classroom. It seems like we were the only ones trying to do surrounded us with as we were by gloominess. Just the two of us sharing a lunch. Our lunches like this. It's sort of sort of like something. Our laughter grew quieter. I was the first one to mess up. Sorry. I'm sorry. No, it's okay. It's not your fault. Our chopsticks both stopped moving. We couldn't keep it up anymore. Rika-chan and Sadako, I wonder where they went. KT, dude, hug Rena. Seriously. She's probably as scared and stressed as you are at this point. Those words might have sounded too miserable. Everyone was thinking it using a roundabout way to address the topic, but I came round and said it. I heard Rena catch her breath. Yesterday, while you were gone, I heard a bunch of things, so I'll tell you what I know, okay? Sorry again about last night. Go ahead. At that time, since they had arrived for support, Rena was helping the Ladies' Society cook the miso soup we'd had. They reported all the information the villagers had gathered, and Rena said she overheard it. They didn't know anything important, though, did they? Rika-chan and Sadako went home after school, and they apparently went somewhere on their bikes, but other than that, Mion had told me yesterday we had no clues. Yeah. The police also said they probably went out on their bikes to go play somewhere as soon as they got home. They were going to play somewhere their bikes right after getting home, then they might have gone into town. So I guess they concluded they disappeared while in Okonomiya. The police were saying that they were looking to expand their search to Okonomiya in the morning. Yeah. This is what happens when two young girls have no parent or guardian, and they're free to do whatever in this terrifying situation. In town, it makes sense why we couldn't find them, even though we searched all of Hidamazawa then. Still, something didn't fit. I had no basis for thinking that, just a gut feeling. I revealed something to Rika-chan that was likely very important to her that day. Then Rika-chan told me to leave it to her. And then, what did she say? Oh, right, if she didn't work hard, then something bad might happen to the dog, too, I think. Personally, I think the dog she's referring to is Oishi-san, but I could be mistaken. With all the talk of dogs and cats, I still didn't have the faintest idea what she really meant, but it might have been Chan's way of saying this was a race against time. Damn it. I selfishly pushed my anxiety on Rika-chan and then tried to run away. When I thought about it, I could never run back then. I could have asked her more about the dogs and cats. The more I think about it, I really screwed up. Anyway, I don't think Rika-chan is in a situation where she could get off to play somewhere. Of course, I didn't have any evidence or conviction to base that on. It was just a hunch. I don't think so. I don't think she'd go into town. I think she'd so too, Keiichi-kun. I agree. Rika-chan and Sadako-chan must have disappeared in Hidamazawa. I look at Ren as startled. I could hear the conviction in those words. Without replying to my gaze, she took her bento box and went to the hallway. Oh, what's fresh hell is happening? I'm gonna go rinse this out. She timed that in a way that broke off the conversation. Suddenly I got the feeling that the next thing she had to say would be hard to say out loud in the classroom. I hurriedly grabbed my bento box and followed her. Rena didn't go to the kitchenette, but rather the water fountains out back and where the students seldomly went. Then the water flowed down to our bentos. During that time, Rena didn't say a word. Then, after making sure there was no other students around, she finally opened her mouth to speak. The whole thing about Rika-chan and Sadako-chan going to town to play and then disappearing, that didn't make any sense for some reason. So I decided to just investigate a little bit myself. Who did you ask? What did you ask them about? I asked the Ladies' Society all kinds of things. There was a lot of tofu and miso soup yesterday, remember? The old lady from Tomita Tofu Shop came too. Tomita Tofu Shop? Oh, I remember. That was the one of the stores on the road leading to the hospital. Those huge lumps of tofu dancing in the bathtub like a cistern always looked so nice and refreshing. The old lady said she remembers Sadako stopping by to buy tofu there on her way home from school. Tofu? Well, it's on the way home, right? How is that a clue? Just listen. Do you remember when we went to Rika-chan's house? Rena stopped away from the sinks and spread her arms to recreate the space of Rika-chan's room. There was a pot on our gas cooker, and there was miso soup in it. I think there was probably half of it inside. The rest were in the refrigerator. They must have been planning to make chilled tofu. It was on the plate in plastic wrap. As Rena explained, she walked around as if she were really going through Rika-chan's room. Still, Rena, why does this matter? Kichi-kun, when you make miso soup, you put the tofu in last. That means Rika-chan or Sadako-chan, whoever was cooking, was standing there making it up right until before dinner. Right up until dinner time. Wasn't everyone saying that their bikes weren't around, so they must have gone somewhere to play by themselves? The trash in the countertop bin was put in there really awkwardly, too. Rika-chan makes most of their food and lunches, but occasionally Sadako-chan does it too. So Sadako-chan was cooking that night. So that means that Sadako at least didn't go somewhere to play. She was preparing dinner. Okay, that is weird. Yeah. Then took a look at the rice cooker, and there was rice for two still in there. So she made dinner for both of them, but neither of them ate it. Oh, is that it? Rena nodded. So next I looked in the fridge. There was some chilled tofu made from the other half that they bought. That's not all either. There was a whole bunch of plates with side dishes for dinner, and all of them were plastic wrapped. Usually plastic wrapped so you can have the leftovers for the next day. My mom does it all the time to use them in breakfast or lunch. That's right. Use the plastic wrap to save leftovers for later. So the fact they were in the fridge means they didn't plan on eating them that night at least. Is that what it means? Keiichi could think a little harder. Their dinner was totally untouched and wrapped. What do you think that means? No, Padme, I don't think that's what it means. Um, well, that means they didn't need to eat dinner anymore, so they would have gone out to eat or order takeout. Must have been really sudden, too, if they had to decide to do that beforehand, but they wouldn't have made anything but. There was dinner for the two of them. That means that when Sadako was making their dinner, they really thought they were going to eat it until right before they didn't. So then, the theory about the two of them going out to play and disappearing is wrong. Yep, they disappeared after making dinner right before they ate it, probably around 7 o'clock. Where would they have gone at that time by themselves without eating? That's obviously where this is leading. Keiichi-kun, do you remember? On their fold-out tables there was things like soy sauce and chopstick holder. There might have been something like that, but I didn't remember. The container for soy sauce, it was empty. There wasn't even a drop left. Chilled tofu wouldn't taste good without it, so I looked under the sink for the larger bottle of soy sauce they have. You sure know a lot about where they keep stuff. I've been to Rika-chan's house and cooked for them before. Rena cleared her throat and her face returned to a serious expression. Then when I opened the cabinet, the big bottle of soy sauce wasn't there either. It wasn't there. What does that mean? Oh. They were out of soy sauce, so they both left to go get some. That's probably where this is leading. Everything I'm going to say from here is just Rena's idea, so please listen until without saying anything. Last night, Sadako was making dinner like normal. Rika-chan usually watched TV until food was ready, so she was probably laying down watching a variety show or something. Sadako put the tofu in the miso soup right when dinner was about to be ready. She noticed that they were out of soy sauce. So Rika-chan, who had nothing to do, brought the big bottle of soy sauce to a neighbor's house to borrow theirs. I don't really know my neighbors that well. Would people be willing to give her soy sauce? Yeah, it's not all that uncommon in Himazawa. Hmm. So Rika-chan rode her bike out to get some soy sauce. No matter how long Sadako waited there, Rika-chan didn't come back. Oh dear. So then Sadako-chan called up the house where Rika was going. Would Rika happen to be imposing on you? Something like that. Then the other person must reply with something like this: We have plenty of food here, so you should come too, Sadako-chan. Rika-chan's already eaten. I think that's how they called her out there. Sadako called Rika a few names in private and wrapped up the dinner she had made for them. So she put it in the fridge so she could use it for breakfast and lunch the next day. Then Sadako got on her bike too, and then headed for the house where Rika-chan was. Okay, but this is already pretty strange. You don't normally make so much food that you can give it to people who suddenly arrive at your house. A veteran housewife would never normally make so much food that she could feed two extra people. Could it have been a coincidence that they made too much? It's still unthinkable, Brenna flatly denied me. Since Riki-chan knew that Sadako-chan had worked really hard to make dinner for them, didn't she? No matter what kind of food she was offered, she wouldn't let Sadako's dinner go to waste. This was all only circumstantial evidence and Rena's guesswork. Even so, it was all extremely convincing. It was the only ray of hope we had to topple the situation bereft of clues. Then Rena, where did Rika-chan go? To get the soy sauce. That was the heart of it. It would have been somewhere she'd be comfortable with asking for soy sauce, and somewhere Sadako wouldn't think it as suspicious that she'd been invited for dinner. So who was it? Rena slowly shook her head. That's all for Rena's guesses. These are all just ideas, okay? Keep them secret from the police. What is there to hide? Even if only half of what you say is true, it should be a good clue for them all this. Keiichi-kun, this all means suspecting someone from Yumasawa. We can't suspect anyone without a really good reason. I saw a few girls coming over to rinse their bento boxes. Rena cut the conversation short there and returned to class. I stayed there alone, my body bathed in the lively voices of the cicadas. Let's think about this. In my own way, Rena had barely any information to go on, yet she reasoned out that much. So there should be something that only I, who knew far more than Rena did, could deduce. Oishi-san said that this last night too, but this incident was definitely occurring within Himasawa, which by my view would be someone in Himasawa is pulling this crap. Rena might not want to believe it, but it's basically a given that the culprit is someone from the village. The trigger for everything was when the four of us trespassed in the Forbidden Storehouse. Somebody saw us go in there. For the culprits, breaking the taboo was a crime punishable by death, apparently. So that night, Taki-san and Takano-san were sacrificed. So there were two left, Shion and myself. However, before the culprits bore their fangs on Shion and me, they went after the mayor to whom Shion had confessed her sin. Next, they went for Rika-chan, whom I'd confessed my sin. Then what about Sadako? Just a stray bullet? By itself, Rika-chan being sacrificed after I told her everything was mortifying. But Sadako, who was sacrificed for no reason, wasn't that all more regrettable. Everything was my fault. Who would be the next to disappear? Who would it be, Shion and me next? Why? Why weren't the culprits going for Shion and me right away, though? If they had enough power to erase the mayor and Rika-chan, then why not just get rid of Shion and me? If they went for us, well, I wouldn't like it, but I could still tolerate it. What I couldn't forgive was them getting rid of those two we confessed to. Now that I think about it, yesterday Shion said something alarming. She felt someone was watching her. So then, was someone watching me as well? Strangely though, I hadn't felt anything like that until now. Even though I'm in the root of the cause of everything, I had never once had that impression. Maybe it was simply because Shion was more cautious than me and I was just being careless. That's another story though. Let's go back to on track. Why weren't the culprits going after Shion and me? I felt like there was a key to this lay. Could it be? Was I making a big assumption that I shouldn't have? I thought I couldn't come up with an answer. Unfortunately, I know the answer already. One thing I understood was that I was a concerned party to this case, and that I had a duty to watch over it until everything got resolved. I heard the ring of the bell declaring the end of the lunch break. Would somebody else disappear tonight? If nobody else did, then I want them to get rid of me for tonight for sure. Then to put an end to all this, Shion's hysterical voice on the phone last night came to mind. They planned to murder those close to us first, then make us as miserable as possible. Only then would they kill us. Abarakun, lunch break's over. Go back to the classroom. At the principal's urging, I returned to the classroom, which was quiet as the streets that night. There was a lot of parents picking up their children after school. It was just like kindergarten. The students whose parents didn't come went home as a group. We left school with everyone else following the assigned route. Even while leaving, nobody said anything funny. They all looked exhausted, like exhausted mountaineers silently marching through the mountains. As we went one left, and then another, and in the end it was just Ren and me. I was supposed to escort Ren all the way to her house, but she declined. Will you be alright? It's not safe to go alone. It'd be just as dangerous for you to go home by yourself after bringing me back, Keishi-kun. It's still light out anyway. I'll be fine. I see. Then be careful, okay? Yeah. Huh? Isn't that a policeman? Rana pointed towards my house. There was a car stopped in front of it. From out of the car came Oishi-san. He must have been waiting for my return to ambush me. Oishi-san started walking over wearing that annoying grin. Rana, you should go. If you get involved with him, you'll be here for hours. But, what did the policeman want with you? Rana's a good person. Even when I made a fuss over Rika-chan's disappearance, she never asked me why I did that. She could have been suspecting me over ever since then, but that would have been okay. Even so, she didn't ask me anything. She didn't try to pressure me into revealing the truth. I'm not the culprit. I know that. That said, I can say I'm totally uninvolved with this incident. Brenda simply listened and smiled like she always did. Even though I insinuated I was related to the incident, she didn't look at me as though she were looking at something dirty. Dude, you are literally her only friend besides maybe Mion, who is AFK right now. I'll tell you next time. Okay, I look forward to it. Get going then. Rena gave me a slight bow and trotted off, leaving me alone with Oichi-san, who walked over. Hello, hello, welcome home, Abara-san. Hello. It looks like your parents aren't here. My. Was I in a spot? He came all the way to my house. I can only thank my fortune that my parents were absent. Really? I'd be more unhappy about it if my parents were out. Since neither of them were around at this hour, they probably would be back late. Wait, isn't this the night that normally he would have pretended to be sick in the other timeline? I think Dad called out on business. I don't think he'll be back until later. I see. Well, that's convenient, I suppose. You can do this without giving your parents any strange ideas. Oishi-san pushed me back and prompted me to walk. It seemed like he wanted me to get into the car. Are you taking me to the police station? I wasn't the culprit, but I was the cause of everything. It would be weird if you wanted to investigate me. Dude, if I were the cop, I'd want to put you in protective custody at this point. Same for Shion and see what happens. That kind of gave me a resigned feeling. No, I just don't want to stand around talking. We can talk in the car, that's all. Come on now, don't be shy. He opened the back door and urged me inside. If I got in, I wouldn't have a very easy time getting out. If I said no, however, this man might really handcuff me and take me away. I couldn't refuse. I could only accept it in good grace. Inside the car had been cooled too much by the air conditioning. There was a rusty smell coming through the filter, which must have been cleaned only rarely. Oh, is it too cold? I'll turn the car off. He turned off the engine and suddenly became quiet, and the voice of Higarashi, with all of their cool loneliness, snuck inside. Quack, 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 quack. It sounded to me like a chorus of voices, lamenting my exorbitant punishment for having harbored such foolish curiosity. For a few moments, while listening to those voices, I myself lamented the days that had been twisted and distorted since that night. Oishi-san, as if waiting for me to voluntarily begin talking, lit a cigarette and listened to Higurashi. The silence became deafening, and I was the one who faltered first. How's the investigation going? The investigation of what? There have been so many. Which do you mean? Nufufu? All of them. Well, all right then. They're officially secret investigations, and we're under a media blackout, but I'll let you in on them. Then shall we start from the first incident, the freak death of Tomitake-san and Takano-san on the night of Watanagashi? On that one, embarrassing enough, we haven't made any progress at all. First of all, Tomitake-san. There are indications on his body that he was assaulted by a group of people, but we have no explanation for him clawing out his throat and dying. We suspect an overdose from a stimulant or something, but we didn't detect anything. What about Takano-san? The same, we're in the dark. Autopsies for both of them, those who are burned to death, are real tough. We believe she was doused in gasoline after she was strangled. The one falls under the Gifu Prefecture's police department. They haven't been very cooperative, even though it happened in our territory. Not really relevant, though. The police don't know anything other than the fact that the victims died inexplicably. Yes, I can read. Nonetheless, the times when the incidents occurred have been generally placed right after the festival ended. It's a bit uncertain in Takano's case, but likely prospect is she was murdered at about the same time as Tomitake-san, then dumped in the mountains in Gifu. Why would they bring a dead body all the way to the mountains? They should have just brought Tomitake-san out there too. Oh my, Mabara. Son, you're quite sharp, you know that. Of course, I do believe that it is something we need to be attentive of. There are a bunch of other suspicious things, but this is about all I can tell you at this point. How about the mayor? Have there been any clues? Having exhausted that topic, I changed the subject, otherwise you might turn the conversation on me. We investigated his movements on the day he disappeared. We didn't find anything that could provide any clues, but I'll tell you about it anyway. The mayor, Kirichu Kamiyoshi, apparently he was suffering from severe hemorrhoids. People who live long enough time have an unusual amount of pride, so the mayor hadn't been telling anyone that he was going to a proctologist. Then the spelling's weird on that one. I didn't realize what it was until I started sounding it out. At a certain university hospital in Shishibone. On the day he disappeared, he had an appointment for a checkup, so he went first thing in the morning. Even I knew that big hospitals like university hospitals had a really long wait time. Apparently, people who get in line hours beforehand, even if they have had an appointment. His exam ended at 1 p.m. After that, he ate a light meal in the hospital restaurant, passed the time reading a magazine. We know this because of the receipt we found in his wallet at his house. There's nothing suspicious at all about that. That day, he planned to go to a meeting in the assembly hall in the evening. He was supposed to return home with plenty to spare, but while he was on the train coming back, there was an accident. Seems it delayed him a bit, and he was only got back to his house right before the meeting was scheduled to start. His family witnessed a very hectic mayor leaving to go to the assembly hall at the shrine. What was the meeting about? He disappeared on his way back home, right? The three families and the essential members of the town assembled were at a meeting. I think they were discussing how to deal with the serial freak death incident that had happened again this year. So then, on his way home, the old man who treated Shion like his own daughter, he was a dependable person who would encourage Shion whenever she felt pressured by anxiety, and yet, Shion's painful voice struck me right at the heart. Huh? What's the matter? I was taken aback by how strange my own voice sounded. What was it that just surprised me? I squeezed my head with my hands trying to drag back out what I realized for a split second. Remember, Keiichi Mabara, you just realized something important. Oh, he had talked to Shion, where she supposedly had confessed the everything, and then he vanished. The night of Watanagashi, that was when everything started. That night, Takuma-san and Tomochaka-san died. Damn it, Keiichi, you're focused on the wrong thing. Next morning, word got up. Oh crap! I hit it too fast. That night, Takuma-san and Tomochaka-san died. The next morning, word of the incident spread throughout Hinazawa. There we go. They planned to talk about it during the evening meeting. The mayor, however, had an appointment at the hospital, and as planned, he went there without telling his family. He got a checkup at the hospital. He ate something, and then there was an unexpected delay on his train ride back. When he returned, the meeting was already about to start. The mayor changed clothes, onto his bicycle, and hurried to the assembly hall at the shrine as fast as he could. From when he heard about the incident on the night of Watanagashi until he showed up at the assembly hall, everything he was doing that day was done in secret. During that time, nobody found out that he went to the hospital alone. He ate alone, and he got on the train alone. That all meant he had absolutely no contact with anyone else. You couldn't have even called him on the phone. Okay, what does that mean, Keiichi Marabara? When did Shion have her talk with him? That would be what I'd be asking at this point. Like, my guess is the train, because reasons. Well, she lives in Okinawa, so if she was in Hinamizawa at all, she would have had to take the train back, or a bike. What does it matter, Keiichi Marabara? Come on, Keiichi, remember. Kei-chan, what should I do? What's wrong? Tell me. We're not keeping secrets from each other, right? Old man Kyoshi, I told him everything. I told him everything. I told him Kyoshi everything. That night I told the mayor we snuck into the ritual house so that someone saw us and was out to get us. Right. What then? Old man Kyoshi didn't get angry. He smiled and told me I was properly sorry about it. There's no way I'd be demoned away. He was really smiling and told me to leave it to him. Ugh. Sweat burst out of my body like bullets. They become one long strand and slide down my forehead to my nose and fell. Gee, Shion seems extremely suspicious at this point. So then, what does that mean? Hey, Keiichi, Barbara, no more playing dumb. What did she tell him? There you go. There it is. Shion said she learned about the incident from a phone call her father had made this morning. The mayor had left the house first thing in the morning for his appointment at the hospital. He didn't tell anybody where he was going. Nobody knew about him going to the university hospital. Furthermore, his train ride back to his house, he was delayed by an accident. As soon as he got home, he rushed out to the assembly hall. Then at the meeting at the assembly hall began and continued until it went dark. Then everyone left. Nobody saw him after the meeting was over. He just disappeared. Which meant which meant, um, come on, Keiichi, I know you're smarter than this. Abara-san, are you alright? If you're too hot, I can turn the air conditioning. Dot 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 dot. Another part of me was messing with my thoughts, demanding that I not think any further on that. My head was pounding violently, and fluids packed inside all blended together until nothing made sense. It's just about to settle, and yet it had been smashed and melted into oblivion, no longer able to retain its shape. Mabara-san, are you in there? Uh, yeah. Oishi-san lit another cigarette. There was yet another cigarette butt placed in the ashtray. Was it displaying the passage of time? Had I? Had my thoughts been frozen over for that long? I tried to tell you everything I know. In return, feel free to ask me anything you want, Mabara-san. My mind had become a gigantic, oozing mess. My brain felt like it had been totally minced by the blades of a blender, and I couldn't think. Now, don't clam up again. If there was any misunderstanding, I'd like to clear them up first. I don't think you're the culprit here or anything. Oishi-san gave his best attempt at an adult smile. I know the four of you snuck into the spiritual storehouse that night. Everyone in the village has heard rumors about it by the next day. That in itself means we should take you in for trespassing, but that isn't the problem. It's what's inside. What was inside made people who snuck in there end up as sacrifices. There wasn't anything. As soon as I said that, I regretted confirming my presence there, but I knew it didn't matter anymore. Was there really nothing in there? I mean, everyone who went inside has been sacrificed one by one, you know. Even the mayor and Riki-chan who switched the locks on the door were sacrificed. What was inside that was causing such terrible things to happen? I was far tired of keeping quiet about this. Perhaps that was Oishi-san's goal all along, but again, that didn't matter anymore. There was a lot of torture devices that were used a long time ago. I looked around at them with everyone. Was that really all? That was really all. There's nothing terrible in there that would make you keep silent. Like a pile of psychoactive drugs? Maybe a secret poppy workshop? Perhaps there was mountains of Soviet or Chinese handguns? There wasn't anything suspicious, wooden boxes or containers packed in there. There was nothing. I exaggerated as that what Wish-san was hoping for, but I felt like, in a way, there was plenty of terrible things hidden there. From the perspective of someone who viewed the storehouse as sacred, whether or not I thought I had seen some crazy things didn't matter in the slightest. The four of us broke the taboo, punished us. That should have been what happened. We put in a request for a search warrant thinking there might be something secret hidden in that storehouse. It's been sabotage of the century. They said it would be an insult to religious figures, and something about the right of free religion and constitution. Ah, jeez. That's why I really didn't have any other recourse but to ask you since you went in there. There was really just old, rusty, dusty torture equipment. Nothing else stood out. Then Tomotaki-san and Takano-san were only killed as punishment for having broken the taboo. I didn't have any answer for the only part. I suppose I won't bother hiding it anymore. You're the only one who escaped there. You're the only one to escape harm so far. Everyone but you has disappeared, and yet you alone are safe. Oh! Which basically confirms that Shion has also disappeared. How convenient! The most suspicious person in my mind has also disappeared. What's the difference between you and them that would protect you but bring harm to others? That's what I want to know. There was something wrong with what Oishi-san was saying. You alone. You alone. What? Wait a second. Come on, Keiichi! You're not this stupid. What do you mean by you alone? Nah. I'm saying you alone have been left alive, right? Out of the four people who tiptoed into the storehouse for ritual once, I mean, the only one left alive. Hold on. Shion was still. Oh, yeah. Shiro Tomitake and Mio Takano died that night, and Shion Samazaki disappeared the next day. Wait. When was the last time Keiichi talked to Shion? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Unless she was officially disappeared and was calling from somewhere. Only you are safe and sound at this point. Why only you? I'm saying that's what I want to know. Shion disappeared? That's impossible! I unintentionally raised my voice. But I didn't care about that. Tomitaka-san died, Takano-san died, and Shion disappeared? When did she disappear? What was this guy talking about? Oh, well, no, I thought you were long since aware of this. This is the first I've heard of it! Shion disappeared when? Well, going back a bit, she disappeared the day after Watanagashi. Okay, that confirms it. Then who the hell was Keiichi talking to during the panic call? The one that's been flashbacked a few times today and yesterday's stream. Going back a bit, stop saying stuff I don't understand. Shion Samazaki spends the night at a relative's house, says depending on her mood on any given day, so no one thought much of not knowing where she is. She frequently takes days off in school, too. Her teachers have been pretty troubled about it. I didn't ask about any of that, and here it is. More information. I'm asking you when Shion disappeared. I told you it was the day after Watanagashi. The fluids in my body all reverse direction. I lost all sense of balance, and everything I could see started to warp and twist out of shape. I simply couldn't endure it. Hang on. Shion had already disappeared. Then that night, that phone call, who was that? There you go, Keiichi. You're on the right track finally. She called me every night. That is another thing that is very freaking suspicious here. She encouraged me. We vowed we'd do our best to live and not be erased. Again, if it is Shion, she was lying out of her ass. If it isn't Shion, it's Mion, who is probably also lying out of her ass. The problem is, you never know which one you actually called. Or who actually you were talking to. Should have been a phone call with Shion. Should have been a phone call with Shion. She took breaks from class like it was nothing. Her family wouldn't listen when I told them, so I didn't bother calling the school in the end. So it ended up taking quite a while before we realized she had disappeared. I felt a stabbing pain like needles were being pushed into every pore of my body. It started on my back and began to spread through the rest of my body. But it completely covered the surface of my skin and began to work its way inside my stomach as well. Don't you remember we talked at the library the day after Watanagashi? Shion-san was there then. That was the last we saw of her. No one knows where she'd been since. So basically, everything after the library visit it could have been either of them. And whichever one it actually was is the culprit. Likely. That can't be. That day, Uichi-san had only caught me, and Shion bounded away, lying that she needed to go to work. Didn't she call me that night? Her job at the restaurant is called Angel Mort, right? She hadn't been there since that day. She's been completely absent ever since. The person at the restaurant couldn't get in touch with her. He was really worried. That can't be. It can't be. It's only circumstantial evidence, but after she left us at the library, before she made it to work, I think it's appropriate to consider her having disappeared during that time. Right after Shion ran away without telling me. It seems you didn't know. Maybe you had said something earlier. This would have gone more quickly. Now you understand, right? You're the only one left. You're the only survivor of the four who slipped into the ritual storehouse. It couldn't be. It just couldn't be. Something else happens, it would happen to you. I need you to understand that, my bar-san. It can't be. It can't be. It can't be. Shion has already disappeared? That couldn't be. It couldn't be. The day I talked to her the day before yesterday. I talked to her last night. She was going to call me again today. That was on Shion's phone. On Shion on the phone. It was from Shion. From Shion. Shion has long since disappeared. Next will be you. Then who was on the phone the past nights? Who was on the phone those past nights? Who was on the phone those past nights? That's. It can't be! Oh, that is a whopper of a reveal! Oh boy! Oh boy! I laid down on the couch, stayed there dazed for a while. My mind was completely blank. I couldn't think about anything more than a few seconds. There was a note in my house that said Mom and Dad would be home late, and that I should have some rum or something for dinner. I could make it whenever I got hungry, but I had no appetite, so I stared blankly at the ceiling without eating anything. The hands of the clock were already pointing at 10. Would I get another phone call like that today, even though she had already disappeared? Who? Would she still call me? Where were they calling from, and who were they? The more I thought about it, the more I started to tremble. I even thought about just disconnecting the phone line. If I'd been thinking a little less logically, I really would have done it too. Hold on, Keiichi Mabara. Oishi-san admitted it himself, didn't he? That Shion went missing a lot. Couldn't she have just gone to a relative's that Oishi didn't know about and been there ever since? You're close. Shion and I were both being targeted by somebody, so it wouldn't be strange to think she went somewhere usually didn't in order to hide. That must have been why Oishi-san couldn't locate her, and why he labeled her as a disappearance. Yeah, that had to be it. Shion hadn't disappeared at all. Then my right hand moved of its own volition and slapped me on the cheek. I don't know, Keiichi. He literally told you you're the only survivor, and that implies that they were confirmed that she's dead. So that line of thinking probably isn't going to work. Don't just convince yourself of the most convenient possibility, Keiichi Mabara. I knew I didn't want to admit that she disappeared. Admitting it would mean that something terrifying was definitely going on. I just need to figure out whether Shion was the one on the phone or not. Would I ask her if she was really Shion? That seemed like an incredibly absurd thing to do. Still, don't run from this, Keiichi. If the person on the other end is still believed that I thought she was Shion, then that gave me a tiny advantage. Casually, completely casually, I would listen to what she had to say. And fend her off. I would tear the skin off the monster. It would definitely be really scary for me. However, as the last survivor of the people who went to the storehouse that night, this was my duty to perform. Still, then who? Who would call me and pretend to be Shion? I may have only heard her over the phone, but her voice shouldn't be that easy to replicate. It was definitely Shion's voice. It sounded just like her. It could only have been Shion. There was someone, though, wasn't there? Someone who sounded just like Shion. Mion. Mion. Who else could have done this? At this point, seriously, after all this time, all those little things that didn't quite make sense about Mion until now overwhelmed my mind. Like being questioned about sneaking to the storehouse and how she shook the ladder while spouting curses. Who else? Who else could it have been? Why though? Why would Mion? I thought back to the things about the Sonozaki family I heard from Oishi-san and Shion. Mion was always entangled in incidents, in a position where she was omnipotent. Some of that information included things that Shion had told me after she disappeared. I madly scratched my head. Courage, give me courage. Just a little bit of courage to pick up the phone. I know it will be ringing tonight. It'd be so easy to run away. That, though, would be the same as making it easy for them to erase me. I cannot run. I must stand up and face it. After all, the next sacrifice would definitely be me. I'm sure Shion would use tricky words to try and trap me. Be careful, be careful. I'm scared, I'm scared. I don't want to do this. 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 Oh, look, a phone call. At that point, it rang like a death knell. The phone rang. I didn't know where the call was coming from. Shion disappeared. Disappeared a long time ago. Disappeared the night after Watanagashi. Yet, until today, she had been calling me like nothing happened. Now again tonight, the people had disappeared. Their corpses simply haven't been found. I really didn't think they were alive. So if it was really Shion on the other end, then did that mean she was calling for me from the another world? Personally, I would argue that she might be the suspect or a victim. Either way, you're fucked. Of course, that couldn't be. A living, decent person calling me, pretending to be Shion. Shion was long gone, yet she was there alive and well. The phone call continues incessant ringing. I didn't want to pick it up. I didn't have to. If I concluded though that it's not doing so wouldn't solve anything, then what would I do after I answered it? Would I merely declare she wasn't Shion and ask who she was? Alternately, I could pretend that I was still fooled and try to grab her by the tail. That would probably be the safest thing to do. What I was most afraid of was what the person on the other phone would do when she realized I knew she wasn't Shion. However, as long as I continued to let her think that I was fooled, she wouldn't do anything extreme, right? If I made sure to be careful, there should be a safest option. I made up my mind. I'll answer the phone. Once I do that, I'll talk to her as if nothing happened. That wasn't all I'd be doing this time, though. I'd scoop her out. Who was she? What was she thinking? And what was she after? Why was she doing this? Was she really the one who killed Tomotaku-san and Takano-san? What happened to the mayor? What happened to Rika-chan and Sadako-chan? I reached out for the receiver, my arm trembling. There were too many things I wanted to know, too many things I wanted to ask. I was scared. I should have started picking up the phone. Pick it up, Keiichi. Pick up the phone, Keiichi. Hello? Oh, how relieved I would have been if it hadn't been a call from Shion. Kei-chan, it's me. It's Shion. My momentary convenient, above all fleeting prediction, was ripped into 1,000 pieces. I could tell shaking at this point. Get ready for this. You took a long time to pick up. I thought you weren't home. I was about to hang up. Sorry. I was just in the bath. Did your family not pick up for you? Should your parents be out now, Kei-chan? I failed. I let her in on the fatal piece of information. I was currently the only one at the house. Well, no, they're not really. Anyway, have you heard about Rika-chan and Sadako? No. What happened after that? Were they found? Nah, they weren't found. Kei-chan, please don't lose hope. If Oishi-san hadn't let me know, then I might have allowed myself to shed a tear or two at Shion's considerate words. Instead, now it had come to this, I couldn't take her word at face value. This person on the other end of the receiver, the more perfect a Shion they were, the more my blood curled in fear. Rika-chan and Sadako, they were kidnapped, weren't they? Yes. I don't think there's much doubt. Just how cruel and grave a meaning did those words hold? Their weight astonished me. Then the moment later, I was overcome with numbness and felt like I would pass out. I'd asked if Rika-chan and Sadako had been kidnapped. Shion, in turn, had answered that there wasn't much doubt. That cruel meaning behind her words, Rika-chan and Sadako-chan were, no. I mean, I'm sorry, what about the mayor? What do you think happened after he was kidnapped? Think he's still alive? What happened to Rika-chan and Sadako after they were kidnapped? That's what I wanted to ask, but I frankly got caught of myself. If she had just given that question a terrifying response in such a way it sounded like nothing to do with her, I was scared of that, so I immediately brought up the mayor. That said, however, much I talk about the mayor, I think he was killed. Hey, wait, that was quick. I think it must have been really hard to kidnap someone and keep them like that they are, as long as they are not a hostage. Just it would be most practical to kill them once they were done with them. Then the world started to bend so much I had Almost lost my balance. The cedar in my eyes whirled and round like hands of the clock, trying to swallow me whole from below. I finally put a hand on the wall to support myself. A moment later, a severe nausea welled up within me. How was she saying such things so lightly? Killed them so readily? I mean, what's a human life or two anyway? Huh? It's a horrible thing, but I think that's probably what happened. Wow, that is a very different song choice at this point. Can't imagine what the meaning could be. If the mayor was killed, then what did it mean if the same happened to Rika-chan and Sadako-chan? No, no, it couldn't. They weren't some random old man. It was Rika-chan. It was Sadako. They couldn't, they couldn't kill them so readily. It's probably better to think that Rika-chan and Sadako ended up the same way. Those were the words I wanted to hear at least, and I fought them back with a scream of my own. Even though it wouldn't change anything, but still, couldn't help but scream. Ah! This time the tears flowed. I've been confronted with the most horrific outcome I've been trying to avoid considering ever since last night, and I cried. There was no longer any doubt. It was my fault. I killed them. I killed Rika-chan and Tadako. I succumbed to the weakness in my own heart and confessed everything to Rika-chan. That's why they were killed. That means I killed them. What did Rika-chan look at me with those innocent eyes? If only I hadn't given in. I, 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 Even if my voice gave out, and still I cried and cried. Kei-chan, please, just calm down. Rika-chan and Sadako, they've been killed. We couldn't find their remains. I would never allow it even to apologize to their faces. If that was my punishment, then how brutal punishment it was. I think Shion tried to comfort me, but I didn't hear any of it. What are you going to gain by doing that? They're definitely going to target you and me next. Please, I'm asking you, get a hold of yourself. Please, please. Shion was shouting, imploring me with a voice that sounded like tears were in her eyes. However, I was coming to hate the sound of that voice even more. This Shion killed them. I had no doubt that the person killed them. Why? Why? Why kidnap someone and kill them? Screw curses. Are people's lives really that cheap? Erasing them and killing them without a second thought like this. You're right. You're absolutely right. I would take a demon. It would take a demon. I felt like crushing the receiver in my hand. How long did that person on the plan act on acting like that was someone else's problem? There's a magma in the pit of my stomach. I felt like it was going to erupt at any moment. Hey, Shion, please tell me, why did Himasawa start being someone could die on the night of Watanagashi? That's what I'd like to know. The fighting over the dam project is already over and done with. Haven't enough people cursed already? Why is it? Why? If there's a reason, then say it now. I was incoherent at this point. My emotions had broken through the dam inside me, rushing forth. I couldn't stop them anymore. These were not simple questions, this was an interrogation. She herself hadn't realized it yet, but it was just too funny. It was so funny, I couldn't stop crying. I understand how you feel, Kei-chan, I really do. The dam war ended long time ago, yet murders and disappearances keep happening every year under the guise of those sure some curse. Why? Why is it happening? Some of them had nothing to do with this. Some of them didn't even deserve to be cursed. So why? Why? That's what I'm asking you. I want to know as much as anyone. Both of our ragged breaths could be heard over the phone. Listen, Oishiro-sama's curse never existed. It's too unrealistic. Just like you said, someone in the village is the grand name of Oishiro's curse, just as justification for continuing these murders, disappearances every Watanagashi. They were cunning. They have been using the curse as a convenient tool and made a system where they could get rid of 2 enemies in the village every year. And this year, the system had killed Takano and Tamataki-san. Then why wasn't that enough? Why did the mayor and Rika-chan and Sadako-chan get killed too? I don't give a shit about the past. The only thing I care about is why Rika-chan and Sadako needed to be killed. Why is that? I didn't say a word to Sadako, you know. Why even her? Why? A silence fell between us. Shion didn't answer for a while. Kei-chan, please, stop being mean. A sob. Was Shion crying? I don't have any idea what's going on either. Everything changed, so when we went to the storehouse that night, it was the same for me. As I listened to Shion's bitter weeping, oh crap, I missed it. Log. To listen to Shion's bitter weeping, I felt my agitation subside. Okay. When I heard that Takano-san and Tomitake-san had been killed that night, I doubted my ears. Then I realized it was instantly. I realized what sort of position I was in now. The four of us snuck in there. Kei-chan, you and I won't be conveniently forgotten. When I thought about it, it made my chest so tight. It felt so terrifying. You know what the feeling, Kei-chan, don't you? There's nothing fake about her words. She even understood how I felt. That's why I confessed everything to old man Komiyoshi. All of us entered the forbidden storehouse. It was just a bit of fun. We knew we shouldn't have done it, but it was really had been for fun. It was only a bit of exploration, that was all. Takano-san and Toshio-san went in with us and were killed shortly after. They met such miserable ends. Since that day, I've been living in fear of when I would be attacked. There's nobody except old man Komiyoshi who would help me, so I asked him to save me. Old man Komiyoshi wasn't mad. He smiled and said, "If you're really sorry, Shion-san, then you will never be demoned away." He really did smile at me and told me to leave it to him. So Shion cried bitterly, recalling the beloved mayor's death. It was such a sad voice. None who had heard it could prevent it from twisting their hearts. Again, I did let my emotions take over, and I go off at her. Shion was in the same situation as me. She should only be my one and only comrade. And yet the police think she's disappeared too. Thump. My heart pounded. My other self, deep within my mind, whispered to me, "Don't forget Keiichi Mabaru. Don't forget the mayor on the morning after the Watanagashi. He was told of Takano and Tomitake-san's deaths over the phone and committed to a meeting that evening. He went to a hospital appointment. He didn't tell his family. He only made it back just in time for the meeting. He went straight to the assembly hall. That's what Oishi-san said. But there was an accident. I wonder if the accident was him running into Shion. When did you let the mayor know? Huh? I'm sorry, Shion. It must seem like I'm kicking you while you're down, but Shion, you told him, right? You told old man Komiyoshi, the mayor. Yes? When did you let him know? Eh? I began to get scared of saying it out loud after hearing her sad voice. I wasn't saying it was contradictory, though. Besides, there was a contradiction, and then I wanted Shion to explain it to me. Did you know that the mayor had a severe case of hemorrhoids and had gone to hospital for treatment? Kei-chan? What does that have to do? Please answer me. Didn't know, then just say so. There was a momentary silence. Then, after stammering a few words, she replied, "I knew that. He had hemorrhoids. It looked like he was sitting down really hard for him. He was going to the hospital. You know which hospital, right?" I'm sorry, I don't know that much, but Kei-chan, what does that have to do with this? She didn't know what hospital Mayor went to. That meant it was impossible for her to have gone all the way to hospital to confess everything. Since she didn't know his destination, then she obviously couldn't have seen him on the train either. I would still argue random encounter. But there is another chance for her to contact him. It would have been after he came to Hinazawa. The train, however, had been delayed, and he only got back right before the meeting was about to start. He didn't have time. There wouldn't have been enough time for him to listen to Shion spill the beans. I want to ask you straight. Shion, when did you tell the mayor about everything? When and where? Your answer doesn't have to be precise, but please give me one. Kei-chan, why are you asking me that? Because if she doesn't answer, she's very suspicious. Her sob pierced into my ears. I was taken aback by the illusion that I was bullying her. Even so, I'll say it. If I'm wrong, then please correct me. Please prove to me you're the real Shion. It was impossible. The day the mayor disappeared, from dawn until he vanished, there was no opportunity for you to contact him. That's... The mayor left first thing in the morning after his examination at the first thing in the morning for his examination at the university hospital by himself without telling anyone. Shion, you just said you don't know what hospital he went to, so you couldn't have contacted the mayor until you got it back. Isn't that right? His train back was delayed by an accident. He didn't return to his house until the meeting was about to start. So there was no time for you to told him before the meeting started, either. I heard Shion repeating her weak sobs. That sort of feminine voice automatically ripped into my heart. It was so painful for me to say it. Shion, did you go to the meeting too? Did you attend and tell him there? If you didn't, then there would have been any time left. After the meeting was over, the mayor disappeared on his way home. Shion went to the meeting, didn't she? Did she or didn't she? The question was so simple to answer, but she didn't give me an immediate response. Um, actually, with the meeting, you didn't even go to your part-time job you said you went to do that day. I'll say it more directly. You haven't been seen since we were at the library together. Kei-chan, Shion Sanzaki disappeared the day after Watanagashi. The other end fell silent as the grave. It was so quiet that it was like the phone cord had been cut. I couldn't sense anyone there. Oishi-san says you've been missing. Despite that, you've called me every night like this, haven't you? Hip, 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 hip. Shian's sobs were torturing me. Still, I'm pretty sure I hadn't said anything wrong. Please, Shion. If something I said was wrong, please say so. Shion, I'm begging you. Hip, hip, hip. Yep. Shion, there is no way you could have seen the mayor, but if you did see him, if Shion ever did have a chance to meet with him, the mayor on that day, then that meant you saw him after the meeting. In other words, it could have only been right before he disappeared or else afterward. That's not creepy at all. Oh boy. This comes quite frequently. In fact, I'm just gonna let it freaking keep playing repeatedly. Oh boy. It's just filling the content screen. Oh, beep boop went the dial tone. Oh. Oh, I wasn't expecting that jump scare. Oh, I was about to hit the save button. Oh boy. I stood there dazed for a while. I wish there was a rewind just to see that again. Oh boy. But thankfully I can rewind the recording later and see it. Oh boy. Oh. Oh. Yeah, I wasn't expecting the jump scare since there's very few jump scares in these games, but you received new tips from Scrapbook 11 at Susu Maoshong Parlor. Oh boy. Oh, there's a little thumbnail thing on the you gained this achievement thing. Oh, sweet merciful Christ, please save me. Oh. The problems with the twins. Oh boy! This is not limited to Hinamizawa, but in Onokufuchi Village, especially the three families detested giving birth to twins as successors. The long-term dictatorship built on the precarious balance of the three families must have feared collapsing under the weight of internal strife from things like family quarrels. According to the literature, if twins were born, then they had to be culled. With that, the very fact that both Sonozaki family successor Mion Sonozaki and her twin Shion are alive is in itself deeply interesting. Perhaps the current leader, Oryu, is sympathetic? Of course, the twins are not cared for equally, and as the heir, Mion receives special treatment. From what I heard, despite the two of them looking exactly the same on the outside, the talent lies solely with Mion. My own observations of the two of them didn't leave me with that impression. Tradition dictates the leader of the Sonozaki family is said to inherit a demon they tattoo as a magnificent one on his or her back, in accordance with tradition. There is an extremely high possibility that Mion has such a tattoo on her back. From what I heard, there is apparently a magnificent demon tattoo, on Oryu's back as well. But I wonder what sort of tattoo belongs to the heir Mion. I really want to see her back. Well, yeah, I'd love to see what the tattoo actually looks like, because I don't think we get that information or see that information anywhere in the anime. Which, again, is why I'm loving the visual novel, because it's filling in a lot of the blanks that the anime left open or just didn't mention. Okay, what about the Mahjong Parlor? Reserved for the day, Masuzu Mahjong Parlor. Clatter clack. Hey, Kurichan, you're the last one here. All the youngsters are here already. Ha 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 ha. Excuse me, miss. Oishi-san handed over a convenience store bag with a cartoon of cigarettes in it to the old lady who owned the Mahjong Parlor. She shrewdly made herself scarce. She was used to this by now. Oishi-san, good work today. What were you all earnestly waiting for me? You could have just done three-player. Everyone was sitting at the Mahjong table in a small parlor where Oishi's subordinates, but there were no tiles laid out anywhere. Everyone, I'd like to thank you for your days of investigating without sleep. Thank you. Energetic responses filled the parlor. Already it's lost the atmosphere of a place of entertainment. The situation is not looking good. The chief appears to have backed down due to Congressman Sonosaki's threats. In the coming days, we've handed off Takano's murder to the Gifu police and given the missing persons case to the disappearances of the mayor to the community division. That damn upstart chief. The veterans in the room cursed him. All of our requests for warrants were turned down as well. I've even been told by our section chief not to go anywhere near Sonozaki House. We're certainly in a bind, that we are. Incidentally, it looks like I'm getting close, getting orders soon to go training at the Metropolitan Police Department starting next week. Oh, good. I wish he's getting transferred. That's not great for Keiichi. Department, st- department starting next week. After that, I've been told to take a paid vacation in Izu. Well, I suppose it ain't bad. He heard a few dry laughs. Wasn't anything to laugh about, but that was all they could do. Always happens, but incidents are a lot like locking your keys in the car. The keys you need to unlock the door are always locked inside. For cars, you call TIAF and they pry your door open. For incidents, Kumachan showed the map. Kumachane flipped over the whiteboard. On the back was a map of the Sonozaki premise made with magnets. And I've been doing this job for a long time. I've gotten a lot of faith in my gut. This could be the one time it was wrong, no? And we're worried about the retirement money. That's until the count of 10 to get out of here. Oishan began counting to 10, and everyone counted along with him. It was their famous 10-count resolution. 9, 10. Ah, no one's leaving. None of you love your families too much, is that it? Everyone laughed uproariously, fearing things up. I want everyone to go over their materials. Memorize locations and blind spots of all security cameras. Kuma-chan, you'll stand by in the command car. If something happens, you'll switch with me and take over. Kumayo-chan-kun, head up, infiltrate Team A. Tetsushi-kun, lead Team B. Observation will set up points 1 through 8. Bonchi-kun, you're responsible for keeping the strict timetable. Control your rotation so HQ doesn't get wise. Now, the team on standby has the most important job, all right? If the section chief asks where I am, play dumb. Whoa! I'll handle escorting our guest. I'll probably take him to the venue so we wait patiently, everyone. Wonder if he'll cave. Keiichimara Bar, that is. From what I've seen, we're set for tomorrow or the day after that in regard. It'll be easy. Doo-foo-foo-foo-foo. That's interesting. Continue. And we will save there because I need to go have lunch. Good old tasty lunch. Save there. Bye bye, Rika-chan. I think we're getting pretty close to the end of this plot because the last one was only 12 chapters. Bye bye.